For a year now, KARE 11 Investigates has been digging into how state law can allow some child molesters to plead guilty in court, but walk away with a clean record. And now we're finding evidence this is happening more often than you might think. Investigative reporter AJ Legault is here with more on what he's found. AJ?
Julie, from babysitters to bus drivers, our investigation discovered sexual predators with dangerous secrets, kept hidden by a legal system seemingly more concerned with preserving the privacy of pedophiles than protecting the public.
Behind the wheel of a school bus is not the place you expect to find a self-confessed child molester.
You're trusting the school, the bus company, who's ever hiring them.
But that's exactly where Glenn David Johnson was working earlier this year, transporting kids to and from Blaine High, Roosevelt Middle, and Jefferson Elementary, when he was charged for a second time with molesting a teenage girl.
And they've come back, flown under the radar, and have struck again.
In the wake of a KARE 11 investigation, State Representative Matt Grossell began working to introduce new legislation aimed at closing a legal loophole that allowed Glenn Johnson to admit in court that he molested a 14-year-old girl and still pass a background check to work as a bus driver.
Nothing shows up when they do a background check, and there he is driving a bus now.
How can that happen? KARE 11 obtained this 1997 police report showing Johnson, then 32, rubbed the girl's privates. It came to light when the girl's mother found the distraught teen looking up in a dictionary the word molestation. Records showed Johnson even admitted it to police and entered a guilty plea in court as part of a plea bargain with prosecutors, where he got what Minnesota calls a stay of adjudication. Without officially accepting the guilty plea, an Anoka judge put Glenn Johnson on probation for 2 years. But after that, the charges would be dismissed. No conviction on his record.
This was a very difficult case.
Paul Young with the Anoka County Attorney's Office says the plea deal was better than risking losing the case at trial because of shaky evidence.
We didn't reach the perfect result, but the risk of an acquittal or the need to have to outright dismissal was very real.
The imperfect result? An admitted sex offender with a clean record. Minnesota law only disqualifies bus drivers who have convictions. So a man who admitted to sexually assaulting a young girl was legally allowed to drive children to school.
They admitted they're guilty. They still, that should be a law, that they can't be anywhere near a child.
Both the school district and the bus company told KARE 11 they were unaware of Johnson's history. Not surprising, thanks to another loophole. BCA background checks only show convictions. People who get plea deals like Johnson are not flagged.
And our investigation found there are more of these secret sex offenders than you might think.
Analyzing never-before-reviewed state data, KARE 11 discovered between 2006 and 2016, 210 defendants ages 22 to 85 received stays of adjudication for their sex crimes against children, including cases involving sexual penetration of children under 13.
How is that possible that you can have sex with a minor and not have any record of it anywhere?
Following KARE 11's report about how this woman's 11-year-old granddaughter was repeatedly molested by a 47-year-old babysitter who'd gotten a stay of adjudication after admitting in court to sex with a 13-year-old, Governor Dayton called for change.
And I was shocked to see the report.
Crimes against children, so were the lawmakers who watched. But ultimately, they could not agree on what steps to take, and reform efforts stalled.
I don't like to say it died. It got delayed.
Representative Grossell vowed not to let the issue die and says he's now working on a new bill to introduce next session that would add a measure of transparency and accountability to the secret sex sentences.
Even if it's a stay of adjudication, let's say, that they're going to have to register as a predatory offender.
Last month, Glenn Johnson entered a guilty plea to his latest sex crime and this time will have to register. But his case shines a school bus-sized light on what can happen when sex offenses are kept secret.
And it should not be acceptable that they receive a stay of adjudication which turns into nothing.
Representative Grossell tells me the bill he's sponsoring is still really a work in progress as state leaders try to figure out the best way to deal with these stay of adjudication loopholes. While the legislature debates, judges and prosecutors are still allowing these stays of adjudication to wipe away sex offenses against children. Just last month, the charges against former Champlin Park soccer coach Rebecca Noonan, who admitted to sex with a 14-year-old, were dismissed because she'd completed the terms of the probation she was on after receiving that stay of adjudication.
So it's so maddening, so frustrating, stalled in the legislature, but we know you'll stay on it, right, AJ?
We certainly are, and lawmakers are telling us that they plan to address this. We're going to have to wait and see if that happens.
All right, well, we appreciate your great reporting and staying on the case. Thanks, AJ.